With full pitch through dovetails, the pin board fits into the tailboard and both sides of the joint show. 5 dovetail bits can be used for full pitch through dovetail tails, for board thicknesses from 1/8 of an inch to 13/16 of an inch for the pin board, and 1/8 of an inch to 1 inch for the tailboard. Through dovetail pins are routed with the Leigh No. 160 1/2-inch straight bit. All full pitch through dovetails are routed using the E10 guide bushing. We're going to make a sample box. Board widths are based on the number of full tails in your design and should almost always end in a half pin. Based on the approximate board width required for our project, 6 1/4 inches will provide 4 full tails. Board widths may be wider than the chart width by up to 3/4 of the dovetail bit's cutting diameter, or less than the chart width by 1/4 of the dovetail bit. The quick reference strip is a handy guide to help take you through the steps of routing full pitch through dovetails on the RTJ400. Check the quick reference strip for the correct bit and E-bush combination for your board thickness. In this case, the Leigh 80-500 dovetail bit and the E10 guide bushing are used for routing the tails. Making a box requires 4 boards of equal width. Boards must be flat with square ends and edges. We're using 3/4 inch boards, but different thicknesses may be joined. Remember to mark the boards to indicate the inside or the outside face of the finished piece. Tails are routed first. Fit the E10 guide bushing to the router table or router table insert and install it in the router table. And be sure the insert is orientated the same way every time an E-bush or bit change is made. All routing starts with the E-bush set in the number 5 position. With the power disconnected, install the Leigh No. 80-500 dovetail bit. Note that with this router table setup, the E-bush was removed to install the bit. Check that the bit spins freely within the guide bushing before reconnecting the power. Unlatch the frame and insert the right frame pin in the all TD tails hole and the left frame pin in the TD tails slot. Always remember to securely latch the frame after repositioning it. Center tailboard 1 flush over the template comb, mark side out, keeping an equal amount of board edge on either side of the comb fingers, and secure the clamps. On the back of the frame, move the side stop against the board edge and tighten it in place with the hex key. The side stop will remain in place for both the tail and pin boards. Routing will be done in the first and every alternating template opening. Leigh provides blockers to prevent routing in the wrong comb openings. Fit a blocker into the second and every alternate opening. Backer boards help prevent tear out and directs dust and chips away from the operator. Clamp a short scrap board, equal in width to the tailboard, firmly against the back of the tailboard. The pin board is used as a depth gauge for the tailboards. Place the edge of the pin board against the front of the tailboard and draw a line across. Adjust the bit until the tip is at the center of the pencil line. With safety gear in place, route in the first and every other opening, 1, 3, 5, and so on. Make sure the guide bushing stays in contact with the sides of each template opening. Do not twist the jig on the table. Keep the template perpendicular to the line previously drawn on the tabletop. Rotate tailboard 1, keeping the marked side of the board facing out. As you did before, route into every odd numbered opening. Repeat the previous steps for tailboard 2. After completing the second tailboard, remove it along with the backer board. The Leigh No. 160 1/2-inch straight bit is used to route the full pitch through dovetail pins. Remove the RTJ400 from the router table. Unplug the router and remove the dovetail bit. Install the 160 straight bit or equivalent spiral bit in the router. Reinsert the E-bush and double check to make sure it is set at 5. Remember to make sure the bit spins freely within the guide bushing before reconnecting the power. Unlatch and rotate the frame to the TD pins mode. Insert the right frame pin in the TD pins 1/2-inch column 1 hole and the left frame pin in the corresponding slot, and securely latch the frame. The frame pin position is determined by the diameter of the dovetail bit used to route the tails. Place a test pin board flush on the template, with its edge against the side stop, and clamp it in place. Insert a new backer board tight against the pin board. Use a tail board to set the bit height and pencil a line across. Then adjust the bit to the center of the pencil line. Always start with a light climb cut to help leave a nice clean shoulder. A climb cut may pull the jig to the right, so be sure to have firm control of the jig at all times. Route between each of the pins, making sure all waste is removed. Also ensure the guide bushing touches both sides of the pins. Finish up routing and remove the pin board. After routing the test pin board, test the joint for fit. If the joint is too tight, turn the E-bush to a low number, and if the joint is too loose, turn the E-bush to a higher number. Remember to retighten the E-bush after each adjustment. To save time with fit adjustment, route only a new test pin board to fit in the existing tails. Once you have a good fit, average the two E-bush settings. For example, 5 on the tails and 9 on the pins averages to 7. The next time you route a new box, route the tails and pins with the E-bush set at 7. Record your best fit setting in your user guide and on the quick reference strip. Also check for flushness. If the joint is overflush, you will need to lower the bit, and if it is underflush, then you need to raise it. Now that you have a good fit, route both ends of pin board 1 with the mark side facing out, utilizing the E-bush setting from the test pin board. Once again, route in between each of the template finger pins, making sure all waste is removed. Repeat the procedure for pin board 2 and assemble your box.